Hey y'all, it's Andrea here at VW Family Farm. Welcome back. It is a beautiful day out here, and I had a meeting this morning or else I would not have my hair and makeup and all that done, but I've already had a lot of things to do today. I've had this next job on my list for literally several weeks now, and I'm finally getting around to it. I sprouted a few seeds for my fall garden. And then a lot of things this time of year, especially we're in zone 7B, will just sprout on their own. And these that I sprouted in cell trays, they sprouted in a very short time, like maybe a day or two. It's just so warm and really good conditions for them. But they were things that I wanted to make sure that they sprouted, that I haven't had so much luck with sprouting in the ground. Those things I'm gonna share with you as we go. And I'm gonna plant some things from seed and just tell you what all I've got going, where and why. So normally this time of year, I would be planting in my front garden, which is out in front of our house, and the garden you've seen a lot, but I am in a time of transition. So I'm in a time now that's completely different than when we started our YouTube channel. When we started our YouTube channel, we had a young family, and Lane and Emily were not little bitty kids, but they were definitely still young, and were here all the time. We homeschooled, and so they were literally here all the time. We did everything together, and they helped me do everything. Transitioned into they worked here. Now we're in a time where I'm going back to doing things just me most of the time. Ben is here right now. You'll see him walking around in the background. He's doing other things. This is his day off from his quote-unquote real job. And so he's around here. He's already gone and gotten our UTV worked on this morning, and he's picked up feed. He's now about to unload feed, all kinds of different things. I'm going a different direction because we have to divide and conquer. So maybe you're in the season of life that I'm in, and you're kind of doing things just you. And I don't mean that to sound sad, because it's kind of therapeutic to get out here and it's just me and nature, and this is what I like to do. I'm not going to stop doing it just because it's back to just me. So therefore, since it is just me, I'm kind of transitioning back. This is my original garden. This is where it all began for me when we first got married almost 25 years ago. This was a garden for generations, and we gardened it for a long time, and then we just expanded and expanded, and at one time we had 3 different gardens, and I think we had, I'd have to ask Ben, but I know we had thousands and thousands and thousands of square feet of garden, and it was awesome. We raised so much food, mainly for ourselves and family, but it's just time I'm scaling back, and so that means I'm back to the original garden. I feel like there's some like deep truths there, but we'll leave it at that for now. And so I am planting selectively because this is not as large of a space, but really I kind of wish I had been doing that all along, because sometimes I would wind up with things either we didn't like to eat or too much, and it just was overwhelming to me because I didn't know what I was going to do with all of those things. So I'm being very selective. So one of the main things that I sprouted from seed is cucumbers. Cucumbers just seem to be kind of finicky. They're not just one of the easiest things in the world to grow. I know some people are going to say, well, they are for me, and that's wonderful, but they're not for me. And I know they're not for some other people that I've spoken to over the years. I sprouted those in some potting soil, stuck them in the ground. I also stuck some seeds in those same holes, just because cucumbers really don't like their roots disturbed. So in the spring, I never sprout them. I never pre-sprout them. I'll always sprout them in the ground because I have such a long growing season, really, that if they don't sprout and I see that they're not gonna, I just come back and stick some more seeds in the ground. Kind of in a time crunch here, even though I am in a high tunnel, so I will be able to close the sides. But if I was, say, didn't have this high tunnel, I'm in a time crunch. I need them to sprout now. So I pre-sprouted and did some seeds. I can always pull one of those up and thin those down later. Just gonna go ahead and plant 2 of each seed to ensure that at least one of them sprouts. One thing about these holes I'm planting in, if they look like they're pretty loose soil, they really are. This is where I grew tomatoes this summer, and I've already ripped a lot out and cleaned it up. And I left the stalks, a lot of them I just cut off and let those break down over the last month or so. And so you can see I'm pulling this up, just, it's already loose, pulling it up, and it has broken down in there for the most part, and it has made the soil so just loose and fluffy, and it's really easy to plant in. Again, this is where my tomatoes were. So I'm growing these sugar snap peas. I just want like 1 vine of these. And so I have a piece, if I can find it, of this twine left from where I grew my tomatoes. I had it, this helping hold up the tomatoes and letting them grow up it. And so a lot of it, the thing is, it's biodegradable, it's just twine. And I cut it off and threw it in the compost mostly, but this one is left. So I'm hoping that I can use this for the sugar snap pea to kind of trellis up and wrap around and kind of grow up. Hopefully it'll make them a lot easier to pick and a lot less messy in here. So at this point in the year, I'm not looking to get tomato plants for a lot more to do like any huge amount of canning or anything. I just want some to eat this fall. And so the ones I left, they're a mess. I'm just gonna be completely transparent with you guys. I'm gonna show them to you, even though it'd be easier not to. But they are growing all along the ground. They're a mess. They have had, you know, some of them that turned bad because they're in contact with the ground. But by far, hands down, I cannot stress enough, they were the best producing tomatoes I have ever grown. I did not do this on purpose. I have these big pieces of bamboo that Ben and I hung up here. And by the time I got down to that end, I was running out. And so they just didn't get trellised because I simply ran out of materials. And I was like, you know what? Oh well, we'll see how that goes. And really didn't expect it to go well. It was honestly pure laziness that we did that. I was tired that day and I was like, we'll see how it goes. It is crazy how good they did. Because these things we train tomatoes and different plants to do is not natural to them. A tomato is a vine, so it does want to vine along the ground. And I'm not saying we should never trellis or anything. I'm not saying I won't trellis. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it or that we've done something wrong. I'm just telling you what happened, and it was pretty shocking. So those are the ones I left. I thought if I really want some more tomatoes this fall, why wouldn't I leave the ones that produce the best all year? So that's what I did, and that's why those are still in there, even though they look messy and they're kind of an eyesore. I found somebody y'all might know.
Feels nice out here.
Yeah, it does.
We went and bought stuff for a project, and of course it's in our way.
Right.
So we get a move.
This will probably be the next video y'all see, actually. We are redoing this entire fence that our old spot mamas have always stayed in. It's barbed wire. It used to have a hot wire on it. It still does. That is mainly for cows, but they've stayed in it for years, but piglets don't. And we've had some piglets get down to the highway. That's just such a liability. Plus, we just don't want anyone to get hurt hitting a piglet, or we don't want the piglet to get hit. So we're completely redoing this fence. Like Ben said, all the stuff is in our way. This is just a little tidbit of how it does save money to do things yourself. It was gonna cost us $8,000 in that range to get someone to build this fence, and it's not really a very big pasture. And we went, we're gonna do it ourselves. We've already started. We went and bought that auger you can see behind me because we needed it. So we have a new piece of equipment in this price as well, and we spent $2,400. So, and 800 of it was this auger. It does pay to do things yourself.
And we got some high dollar. It's not web wire. It's like web wire, but it's they call it sheep and goat wire. It's only 4x4, so that way little piglets can't get through. Almost like oil, but no.
But nothing like it.
I mean, they're both black gold, right?
So, we have been meaning to do this for, what, a couple years? We just loaded up tubs that have been under our rabbits for a long time. A lot of it's just turned to soil at this point. And we're taking a breather, honestly. We're out here, we're gonna put it in some of these raised beds. I've used it just in holes for fertilizer, just in individual holes. And I think I'll do that again, but we need a fresh start with these poop catchers, I'm gonna call them.
Poop buckets.
They just need somewhere to be emptied, and these need a shot of something good, so.
That was the rabbit's composting toilet.
We'll give y'all a bird's eye view. Hope this goes well. Flip it, look out.
That rattled it loose.
Yeah, it did. Oh my goodness. Oh.
They need smell-o-vision.
It smells so bad. so bad. And Ben does not do bad smells.
And no matter where you go, it's horrid.
It's like the worst porta potty you've ever been in. Number 2. Ready? 1.
Hey, tilt it back a little bit. There you go.
2, 3, go. I think I'm gonna wear gloves when I spread this out. So we're gonna let that sit and break down a little bit out in the elements. It's been in a barn, and so we're gonna let that kind of break down. We'll smooth that up. I'm not gonna plant anything in that right now because what I would plant in it would be probably root crops, and that's just gross. I'm gonna let that age and break down, and may plant in that in the spring, some root vegetables. I wouldn't think as much about it if I was gonna plant a plant and then eat the produce, you know, that it produces above ground. But I don't know, just growing a root crop in, even though it is rabbit poop and it's not hot, that just seems you're opening yourselves up to bacteria and things like that. So not gonna do that this fall, but I've got that ready, got a fresh start on the rabbit litter, and then I can use the fresh stuff. There'll be smaller bits at a time, and I can keep that cleaned out better. And just sometimes you just need a fresh start. You let things get away from you, at least I do, and you just kind of need to regroup and start over. So let's finish this up back here where Ben tilled it up for me. The things I'm gonna grow back here, I've actually got them here in my hand. I'm gonna grow some green beans, and I'm gonna grow some turnips, beets, rutabagas, radishes, and actually probably some zipper cream peas. Those are the things I'm gonna grow in these rows. That's gonna take some cultivating, but there will be, this is one of the main reasons that I wanted to share in this video that I grow a fall garden, and I encourage you guys to give it a try, is there will be so much less weed pressure. A lot of grasses are going dormant, especially the grasses that I find in my garden, like Bermuda grass. And I've had people in these videos before say, what is that? And you can look it up. It's spelled Bermuda, just like the Bermuda Triangle. And it's just a grass we fight here. And so it's desirable in people's yards, but not in your garden. And the point is, you probably have a grass like that too. It's a warm season grass, so that means it's starting to go dormant. And so I'll just have a lot less weeds to fight. finally got done. So the camera wound up dying, and so I'm completely finished now. That turned into quite a bit more than what I was expecting, but that's the story of my life. Okay, the last thing I want to say is the last 2 reasons I love a fall garden, and I think you should give it a try, is I told you there's not as much weed pressure. There's not as much pest pressure either. And I planted summer squashes and winter squashes. Winter squashes do not mean that they're gonna survive once it becomes winter. First frost, just like the summer squashes, are gonna be, you're gonna wake up and they're gonna be dead, so are the winter squashes. That's not what it means. What it means is you leave them and they will develop a hard like rind, and they will last into the winter. They last a lot longer. They're more shelf stable. That's just what they are, and by nature of what they are. But it doesn't mean, I think people think they're going to survive the frost, and then they're severely disappointed when they're just as dead as the summer squash. So I planted those, and those are something here in the spring that we just fight pests. Okay, third thing, and this is super important, is you do not have to feel obligated to harvest all of these things. A lot of things for the fall garden also are great for the soil. Turnips, carrots, lots of root vegetables, those grow down in there, and if you don't harvest them in time, they just get bigger and bigger. That means they're loosening your soil. They're providing pockets that then when those deteriorate, it's looser soil. As they deteriorate, they are feeding your soil. There's just lots of benefit, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, and God bless.